There's such a thing as articles in Adobe Acrobat. Many traditional print documents, such as magazines and newspaper, arrange their information or their text into multiple columns. And stories often flow from one column to another and sometimes across several pages. And what an article does is allows you to easily follow the flow of information across pages and across columns. So what I'm going to ask you to do first of all is we're going to open up a document called Travel Industry Report. And I'm just about to save this as travel article. File, save as, and I'll just put it on the desktop and I'll call it travel article. All right, and that's the name of my document. Now I'm going to press F4, which brings up the navigation pane, and then I'm going to click on the page thumbnail, page 2. And what I want to do is start by creating an article box. So we're going to click the Edit PDF tool in my Tools pane. And what I want to do here is go for the More button. Now I'm just going to click here. And the More button you'll find up here in the toolbar. So I'm just going to go for More, and I'm going to go to Add Article Box. And then really what you do is you drag around the text that you want to create an article box of. So I'm going to drag around this text here, and I've effectively created an article box, in fact article 1.1. Now I right click on the article and I go into Properties. And I add a title to this article, so 1, Overview. And the subject is travel, and the author is me. And I'll go OK. So I've created my first article 1.1. Now let's make another article. This article then flows onto page 6. So in my navigation pane, I click on the page thumbnail for page 6. And I want to drag around the first paragraph to make another article box, 2.1. Then I right click and go into its properties, and I give it the title 2, Market Share. So I'm leading the reader through the various articles, and this is the second one. And I go OK. Now I want to create my third article. So I drag around Competitive Analysis. And that acquires the same number, 2, but it's 2.2, but it acquires the same number because they're both on the same page. So I right click and I go into its properties, and notice it immediately carries through the same properties as the other article on this page. So I'm just going to go cancel. Now if I go to page 7, I now want to drag around all the text to add another article. And I'm going to go right click and into its properties. And this article I'm going to call number 3. Right click, go into its properties. Number 3, and it's called Facts. But it's to do with the subject travel still, and still the same author. So I've created 4 articles, and 2 of them reside on the same page. So how do we view the articles and navigate around the articles? Well, on this navigation pane that we turned on by pressing F4, you're currently seeing page thumbnails. That's this button here. But now I want to move to articles, which is this button here. So if I click this, it actually shows me not pages, but articles. And here they are, the ones that I created. So if I click on 1, Overview, I'm actually able to double click, and I'm actually able to see the overview. If I click on number 2 and I double click, I go to the second article. And if I double click number 3, I go to the Facts article. And if I double click number 1 again, I go back to the overview article. So I'm not seeing all the text on page 1, that's what I'd see if I was in a page thumbnail. I'm just seeing just what I selected on page 1, which was just this text here. So that's how you move between articles and create articles. Now if I wanted to, I could actually right click. Let me just click here. So I'm just going to click on the More button up in the toolbar, and I'm going to go Add Article Box again, and that takes me back to this first article. Now I could extend the article just by stretching it. So I'll drag that to the right and just stretch it to include the picture, and down as well. And so now if I was to double click overview, it would zoom in on that article. If I double click market share, it zooms in on that. Double click facts, it zooms in on that. And now this zooms in the entire. But if I go more, add article box and resize it, so it's only again just around the text, and maybe only this much of the text, so let me just make it a little bit tighter. And I double click overview, it hones in on just that part of that page. If I go back to more and add article box, I can also right click and I can delete an article, read an article, which is exactly what double clicking the article does. And I can also right click and change the properties of an article. So you can delete an article, change the properties, read an article, view it in the navigation pane by hitting this button, and also manage it by going into the add article box option under more. So that's the whole idea with articles.